At its core, alchemy is about turning base metals into gold, which represents the physical manifestation of perfection. This process is referred to as the labor of the sun and symbolizes the gradual unfolding of perfection in nature, represented by the eye of Ra. However, there is a deeper meaning behind this pursuit of perfection. Just as minerals aspire to achieve perfection in terms of their ability to sustain life and consciousness, human beings are also on a journey to unearth the inner gold within themselves. While alchemy seeks to transform metals into gold, humans seek to transform themselves into something greater. As the pinnacle of organic life, human beings are constantly evolving and striving towards a state of divine self-awareness. This inner gold represents a state of enlightenment and self-realization where one has achieved a deep understanding of their true nature and purpose in life. During the era of alchemical science, the principles of alchemy were communicated to the public through images, mandalas, and obscure jargon. This was necessary as alchemical science struggled to gain recognition from the masses as a system of spiritual development, particularly in light of ecclesiastical persecution. The prevailing mentality of the Middle Ages was characterized by ignorance, superstition, and fear, which had persisted since the time of Jesus. Neophytes of the mysteries were initiated into secret brotherhoods and given the keys to interpret sacred literature. The masters noticed candidates for alchemical initiation only after they had demonstrated their sincerity and the sacrifices and efforts they had made. Although alchemical icons and terminology conveyed no sense to the public eye, the mystique of alchemical texts and images sparked the interest of potential practitioners of the royal art and turned the average person into a seeker. This was perhaps one of the intentions of the authors of alchemical manuscripts. One key to understanding alchemy is to identify the objectives and subject of transmutation. Alchemy is categorized into 4 levels: physical alchemy, biological alchemy, psychological alchemy, and transcendental alchemy. Physical alchemy, also known as the greater circulation, involves the transmutation of one substance into another, such as base metals into gold or water into wine. However, this aspect of alchemy became associated with much charlatanry and quackery, as many people were deceived by fraudulent claims of possessing the philosopher's stone. The unquenchable human desire for wealth has driven many to seek shortcuts and become victims of these fraudulent claims. Aspirants of the ancient wisdom are taught that the world of form is transient and that true happiness should not be based upon something that is illusory, as illusions do not last and enslave humans to matter by seducing them to indulge in things that hamper the development of their soul. Truth and the real are that which are eternal and are to be found within us, in the kingdom of God. Unfortunately, many Christians overlook this important injunction of the Nazarene Master. Ancient precepts also advise that the less earthly desires one has, the richer one truly becomes. The lesser circulation of the herbal family is also included in this category of physical alchemy. The main objective of this work is the search for a universal panacea that would cure the ills and sufferings of humanity. This is a noble desire, provided that the lucrative aspect and profit motive is absent, as it would exemplify the bodhisattva ideal. In contemporary times, there are those who claim to have successfully accomplished transmutation in their laboratories and even teach the secrets of the art to their followers. In the realm of alchemy, the search for physical transmutation was often accompanied by a desire to attain physical immortality and biological immunity to diseases. As alchemists grew older without achieving their goal, they turned to the search for an elixir of life that would prolong their physical existence. This quest initially led them to the study of herbalism, as many plants were believed to possess rejuvenating properties akin to the fabled fountain of youth. For instance, Hindu mystics attributed such qualities to the Soma creeper, while Chinese Taoists extolled the virtues of a certain mushroom called Lang Qi for regenerating the physical body. The ancient Egyptian god Thoth was also believed to have described a life-giving mushroom that could confer immortality. However, over time it was discovered that the true elixir of life resided within the human body itself, and that it could be created through psychobiological means. As such, the focus of alchemy at the biological level shifted to the development of methods to regenerate and rejuvenate the body. The objective was to find ways to delay the aging process, restore physical vitality, and prevent diseases that afflict humanity. This pursuit of biological alchemy remains an enduring fascination for many, as it represents the ultimate aspiration for physical health and longevity. The field of psychological alchemy, also known as mental alchemy, is devoted to the science of developing the mind. In the evolutionary process of the four lower bodies, the mental sheath remains unstructured and unorganized. But the objective of mental alchemy is to accelerate the development of the mental body, allowing the ego and the waking consciousness to function fully in the mental realm. Theosophical teachings suggest that the mental body will be fully developed in the fifth round of evolution. Through the practice of mental alchemy, one can attain what nature intends humankind to achieve in the next round of evolution more quickly than through the natural progression of evolution. To develop the mind, mental alchemy emphasizes the refinement of several abilities, qualities, and faculties. These include cultivating a universal attitude and perspective, imagination, concentration, the ability to reason inductively, deductively, syllogistically, analytically, analogically, mental quietude, abstract thinking, divine thinking, mental receptivity, visualization, discrimination, detachment, meditation, and mental creation. However, before one can progress in developing these faculties, one must purge the mind of phobias, neurosis, psychosis, guilt, resentment, and other negative feelings that can infect it. To achieve spiritual unfoldment, the aspirant is advised to forgive oneself and others, and to follow the steps of conviction, contrition, confession, consecration, and communion. Additionally, the unification of the male and female aspects of the psyche is essential, a process that psychoanalysis has only begun to explore. It is essential to note that mental alchemy is not the ultimate goal of alchemy. It serves as a stepping stone leading to transcendental alchemy. Transcendental alchemy is an advanced category of alchemy that involves raising a man from a state of nature to a state of grace. According to alchemists, all things in their natural and regenerated state are considered dead. Master Jesus expressed this concept when he stated, "Let the dead bury the dead." The process of transcendental alchemy reunites the disciple with the Atma and later, in full awareness, with a monad. This is the unio mystica sought by mystics of all ages. The union with Tao, the mystic term for the absolute, in Lao Tse's philosophy, leads to the realization of one's true identity and reality. When an individual is united with the absolute, they become a Jivan Mutka, a freed being, who is freed from ignorance, maya, and mortality. In this unified state, human consciousness expands and embraces cosmic consciousness. Figuratively, the drop returns to the ocean, the spark to the flame, and man's essential divine nature shines forth with the splendor of the sun. This is the destiny of the man, to advance into the kingdom of God and become all that God intends him to be. Various systems of spiritual unfoldment are catered the 7 different temperaments of a man, leading him to his ultimate goal. Transcendental alchemy is one of these sublime systems and is essentially yogic in nature. It stresses the importance of meditation, concentration, and contemplation. The previous levels of transmutation are conducive to the successful outcome of transcendental alchemy. Symbols have been used since ancient times to express spiritual concepts that cannot be adequately conveyed through words. The limitations of the intellect in comprehending spiritual verities have been acknowledged since time immemorial. The forces of nature are felt intuitively to be intelligently directed, but the human mind is unable to explain how and why. Cosmic principles are inadequately described verbally by prophets of God, but find expression on the human mind through symbols and signs. Symbols are not restrictive or exclusive, but their interpretation varies according to the level of mental and spiritual development of the individual. Most alchemical symbols are taken from nature, while others are invented by humans and take on the form of combined geometric elements. For example, the snake symbolizes regeneration, the scarab beetle represents immortality, and mountains signify obstacles. Invented symbols include the Martinist pentacle, which represents the unity of man and omniety, the Egyptian ankh, which stands for life and immortality, and the circle, which represents eternity. Symbols have a certain usefulness in transforming the mind, as whatever man thinks upon, that he becomes. Meditating on symbols representing power, love, holiness, and compassion can help individuals unfold these qualities within their nature. Personally developed symbols are sometimes used as media for communicative exchange between the waking consciousness and the subconscious mind. This can be achieved by ascribing a certain attribute to a symbol through repetitive thought and contemplation upon it. Alchemy is particularly rich in symbolism. The royal art is sometimes represented by the pelican and the phoenix bird, with the latter being invented by mystics in Alexandria during its heyday, and the former by a group of Knights Templar in the British Isles. Alchemical symbols of past ages were designed to reveal as well as to conceal, to stimulate the mind, to awaken from intellectual complacency. Some common alchemical symbols include the Hermaphrodite, dragons, and the Caduceus. The concept of the Hermaphrodite in alchemy is a symbol that represents the ideal anima and animus in symbiotic conjunction within the human psyche. Modern psychology recognizes that the human psyche possesses both masculine and feminine qualities, which are present regardless of an individual's biological gender. However, these polarities are often repressed in the subconscious mind, leading to a lack of psychological equilibrium and stability in the waking consciousness. The psyche contains hierarchies of development and transformation of both male and female qualities, evolving from the lowest rung of the female hierarchy, represented by the harlot, to the empress of the higher stages. Similarly, the masculine side evolves from the barbarian to the emperor stage. The Hermaphrodite symbolizes the highest aspect of the male and female qualities in perfect balance and unity within the psyche, reflecting the stage of unity that every individual seeks in an external partner. However, the search for wholeness should take place within oneself rather than externally. The union of an individual with omniety is preceded by the union of the alter ego within the waking consciousness. The coordinated psyche of the Hermaphrodite allows an individual to function in a balanced and creative manner in society, and to possess an aura of holiness as a compassionate, wise, and powerful being. Such an individual is known as the twice-born. Esoteric tradition teaches that in a future root race, individuals will be hermaphrodites both psychologically and biologically, possessing 2 spinal columns with the cerebrospinal and autonomic nervous system functioning in closer relationship. The ability to control autonomic functions, such as the heartbeat, is seen as an indication of the evolutionary direction of the biological and physiological aspects of man. Mythology and folklore are replete with tales of heroes slaying dragons, found in the traditions of various cultures. The Greek god Apollo, Siegfried, Saint George, Krishna, Hermes, and other legendary figures have all faced their own dragons. Within alchemical mythology, there are two primary types of dragons, the celestial and the terrestrial. The latter is sometimes referred to as the red dragon. Dragons serve as symbolic representations of raw energy present within the psychobiological organism of humans. The terrestrial dragon, or Kundalini fire, lies dormant in the Khanda and is primarily utilized for sexual gratification and indulgence in sensual activities. To harness this energy for higher uses of the ego, the student hero wields the sword, a symbol of willpower, to overcome the beast within by directing the Kundalini fire upwards toward the brain centers via the Sasamna channel. This practice stimulates creativity of a higher order and leads to illumination, which occurs through the internal merits of negative Kundalini force and the higher positive Christic force symbolized by the celestial dragon within the Holy of Holies of the sanctum within the cranium. In a symbolic sense, the hero becomes immortalized by being smeared with a dragon's blood. The resurrected Kundalini is sometimes represented by the phoenix bird. An individual who has raised his or her Kundalini permanently and has it hissing through the third eye is known as Naga, a term in Hindu mysticism that means dragon or serpent. With the experience of illumination, the Naga realizes the oneness and unity of life, and his or her words, actions, and behaviors become wise. Master Jesus has been known to praise the enlightened Nagas by exhorting his followers to be as wise as a serpent. Dragons may also symbolize the unresolved and repressed energies present in the psyche, such as phobias, neuroses, and guilt feelings. From a geoterrestrial perspective, dragons represent certain currents of magnetic energy found in certain parts of the Earth's terrain. They could be referred to as chakras of the planet, and they correspond to acupressure points in the human body. Ley lines are also associated with geoterrestrial dragons. The Knights Templar possessed certain knowledge regarding these phenomena, including how to identify magnetically charged regions. These hallowed grounds were often chosen as sites for cathedrals, chapels, and temples. The Caduceus, also known as the Staff of Mercury, is composed of a rod with two intertwined snakes. The rod symbolizes the Sasamna, which is an etheric counterpart of the spinal cord that extends upward and outward into the overself, as the Sutratma. Meanwhile, the snakes depict the two nadis, Pingala and Ida, and the junctions where they meet, the rod represents the major chakras. In some instances, vagabond yogis may carry bamboo staffs with 7 knots to represent Sasamna and the chakras. The knob at the top of the Caduceus rod represents the medulla oblongata with a vagus nerve, and a vine creeper is sometimes attached to it. Each component of the Caduceus plays a crucial role in man's mystic development and serves various spiritual functions. The wings appended to the sides of the knob or rod indicate that the Kundalini energy has been raised and resurrected, symbolizing a superior degree of consciousness and mind. Overall, the Caduceus symbolizes regeneration and enlightenment, depicting the attunement of the mind of man with a cosmic mind. In bygone days, only the adepts and those of higher standing were deemed worthy of holding such a symbolic staff. The Caduceus, or versions of it, were sometimes magnetized with odic energy and atmic force, serving as a tool to stimulate the Kundalini fire of the disciples and initiates at certain stages of their spiritual growth. This act of impregnating a mystical or religious object with divine influences is referred to as consecration or magnetization. Some occultists interpret the Caduceus as representing the universal magical agent, which is used abundantly in theurgic and thaumaturgic operations. Egyptian hierophants were adept in the application of this force, and the laws and principles involved in controlling the agent were transmitted under oath of secrecy to seekers of light. The Caduceus has also been associated with individuals such as Apollonius, Pythagoras and Moses, who were all initiates of the mystery schools in the land of Chem, and known for their display of miracles. Alchemy at its core is a psychological and spiritual pursuit. The alchemical laboratory is not just a physical space, but also the inner space of one's consciousness. It is a journey of self-discovery and transformation where the mind and consciousness play a vital role in the transmutation process. The concept of consciousness being the key to transmutation raises the question of the nature of consciousness itself. Is it merely a byproduct of physical processes, or is it a fundamental aspect of the universe that pervades all of existence? Moreover, if consciousness is the key to transmutation, what does this imply about the nature of reality and the potential for personal transformation? Write your thoughts down on the comments below. The alchemical themes of the Philosopher's Stone, the first matter, the seed, mercury, sulfur, salt, the seven metals, the universal panacea and fire are all manifestations of the alchemist's journey towards spiritual and psychological growth. These themes provide a framework for understanding the alchemist's inner laboratory and the processes that occur within it. In the next video, we will delve deeper into these alchemical themes and explore their philosophical implications. We will seek to understand what they reveal about the nature of reality, the potential for personal transformation, and the role of consciousness in the alchemical process. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay updated with our latest content. Join the Elysian Soul community and never miss out on new videos.